PhD in hurting me. Skipped over skin deep and straight to third degree. On a long list of things you burn. Like a cigarette, so your apple pie. The tire slinging, grabber pulling out the drive. I'm on a long list of things you burn. Yeah, I'm gonna light a little fire myself tonight. Just see a cloud of smoke from the county line. I got a long list of things to burn. Them old pictures will be ash in the sky when I take a mash of all your things. Now our old mattress will still be getting hot tonight with a little bit of gasoline. Can't blame the baby, yeah, you did it first. I got a long list of things to burn. Them old fake plants hanging on the wall. Oh, the vintage rug rolling down the hall. I got a long list of things to burn. Turned your pretty perfume into kerosene. I emptied out the whole bottle on your vanity. I got a long list of things to burn. How's it going?
There he is. The man of the month, of the past few months, Caleb Lee Hutchinson.
Yes, sir.
Man, that album, Southern Galactic, Caleb, it's been... Dude, if you hear 10,000 spins coming out of the Gulch in Nashville, it's probably our studio. I mean, man, those notes of Silverado, just from the end to the end, man. What an album, dude.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I'm very, very, very proud of this one.
Yeah, and of course, for my audience, they may remember you, of course, from your epic run on American Idol and your great career that you've done thus far, Caleb. But let me ask you this: were your fans shocked when this album, when the single started out, Caleb? Because it's wonderful, but it's such a sonic departure from maybe some of the stuff you've done before. What was like that feedback at the beginning?
Yeah, it's funny. I was fairly nervous about it, just because you're right. Like, it's definitely kind of a leap creatively and sonically and everything. And I tend to lean a lot more just traditional. So it was sort of a risk. I knew that ahead of time that like people may not be as stoked on it as I was, but honestly, the reception was warmer than I ever could have hoped it would be. Like, people immediately kind of loved it, and that was a great relief for me, because I certainly wasn't trying to disappoint anybody. But I think, like, people notice when you're trying to, do something different. And I think a lot of people were able to get behind it. So I was very grateful for the reception it got.
I love it. I love it, Caleb. And, by the way, you've leaned into change. That's what you're talking about. And that's where growth comes artistically and personally. I think you've been through quite a bit of change in the past year and a half or so. Yeah. And you seem very comfortable with it. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. I think like anyone in life, change makes things uncomfortable, and growth kind of happens when it becomes comfortable for us. So I think it's been really like the past 5 years or so, ever since like Idol and everything, my life's been just kind of weird and ever changing and lots of uncertainty. So I've had to try to get a little comfortable with the discomfort over this past little bit, pretty much all my adult life. So yeah, I think I come from some good stock, like my parents are such strong people and have been through a lot in their lives. And life is great, and sometimes it sucks, but regardless of what it is, we got to push on and learn how to live. So I think this whole year has been a great lesson in that.
Man, Caleb, the fact that that resilience and that life is problems and overcoming them, that speaks volumes of your character, brother. That's incredible.
Yeah, life's up and down, and that's all of us in this world. We're all going through different experiences, but I feel like that's pretty uniform. Everyone's got ups and downs. So
right on, man. Well said, Caleb. But yeah, man, I mean, this album, I mean, obviously the work you did with Titanic Sinclair, the producer, you did it just close to San Antonio as well. But I think you mentioned in some interviews as well that you needed to like kind of like just step out of Nashville because this can be like a bubble, right? Like Nashville, everything starts kind of like feeling the same a little bit. But I guess the question is, Caleb, when do you know? Like, how do you know when a producer is the right one for your project? Because especially one as important for your career as this one, you can't fuck up the producer, man, and you didn't. But it's a gamble.
Yeah, no, gamble is the right word, man. It's I've been a fan of Titanic Sinclair for like most of my life. I found his music and his art when I was 14 or 15. So I've been listening to him and been a fan of his for a long time. And we had spoken, over the phone and message back and forth and stuff. But even on my way to Texas, and I know for a fact he felt the same way, it was still like, we kind of got to see if this works or if it doesn't. That there was a possibility that we would get together and just not, for whatever reason, just not work well together. And yeah, I was very, very fortunate in that within like the first couple hours of hanging out with him, I was just like, oh, I feel like I'm just hanging out with my friend.
Nice.
And, when we started working, it's the least like work it's ever felt to make a record. Like it was kind of bizarre, really, because we made the record so quick too, and it wasn't because we had to. It was just we were having so much fun. We'd finish a song, and he'd be like, "Well, you want to do another one?" And we were just having a blast.
Flowing.
I got very fortunate. I'm sure there's a lot of people that I would love to work with that, if it came to it, we may just not, mesh well together. But yeah, Titanic Sinclair is a true genius. Like, he's one of those freak geniuses that, if we were living hundreds of years ago, he probably would have got kicked out of the village, because people would thought he was doing something crazy. But just being around that guy made me feel so much more smart, and just getting to watch his approach to making music and his ideas on how it would reach people and the way to do things was such an education. I just tried to be like a sponge when I was in the room with him.
But, and it's so great. I mean, he saw your potential, and he just unleashed it. I mean, and when you listen to stuff like Left of Me, Better Now, whatever, and you listen to all this new stuff, man, it's just like, dude, like you got like arena act all over you now. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like unleashed. It's so great, Caleb. But anyway.
Yeah, thank you. No, I mean, I truly owe so much of that to him. Because I think when I was writing songs for this record and was deciding to do it, even before I knew how it was going to be exactly, like getting to talk to him, I was kind of in a weird spot, as you mentioned, and was sort of uncertain about everything in my life, and really like, not even trying to play like the sob story game here, was really at a place where I was like, I don't even know if I got what it takes, if I've got the talent, if I've got like the motivation, the self-belief. And getting to work with someone that you hold to such a high regard and have them look at you and go, no, this is great, and you're great, and this is going to be great. Like, I can't say enough words about what that did for me on a personal level, as a human being and an artist, to have someone that I love and admire kind of love me back. It really, really helped my confidence, and I think allowed me to kind of be less worried about everything, getting to put my trust into him, and then just getting to make music and, getting out of that Nashville bubble and not thinking about every song going, will this be a radio hit? Is this what so-and-so's doing? Will these people
Right.
this? I got to just hang out with someone that I regard as a hero and make music, and none of those thoughts were even in my head. And I think that's why I love this record so much.
And that is good, Caleb, for all of us. I mean, just this weekend now, I was covering the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in New York. And man, just being around people like Flavor Flav and Tom Morello, and yeah, Stapleton was there and stuff, but it's like, okay, it's like you remind yourself that like you can come back with other flavors, and that's important for our careers, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Caleb, by the way, you look great, man. I saw you in person like a week or two ago, man. Like, what's your regimen these days, man? You look fantastic, dude.
Thank you, man. No, it's it is a constant work in progress, and I'm a real stress eater.
Mm.
I don't do drugs. I don't drink much, but boy, I can tear up some food. So, I think like I still work out just about every day. I love like lifting. It's sort of when I was going through all the American Idol stuff, I had like a pretty bad eating disorder and got very, very unhealthy and very skinny. And although I'm a little thicker than I'd like to be, going to the gym and getting to have that approach, and rather than focusing on seeing the scale weight go down, being able to look at like being a big, strong, tough guy, that's been helpful. So it's like every other aspect of my health, it's a work in progress. But I'm happy with who I am.
Man, you look great, and you're tall. Like I'm like 5'4", so like you know what I mean. It's like I get less leeway. You look fantastic, brother.
Thank
Um,
you.
let me ask you about Airstream Dreams there, because that's a heck of a song, dude. And you did it with Jessie Wilson. I mean, there's some obvious musical chemistry just out of you two guys. What is this? This song is gonna explode, man. But I find fascinating about this song. Is it true, man, that like Jessie Wilson was a teacher when like watching you on Idol kind of thing, and now you guys are making what I think is gonna be a goddamn smash to end the year, start the new one.
Yeah, no, it's very funny. I met Jessie back in April. I was just out with some friends at a writer's round, and I heard her and talked to her that night, and she had watched the show, and yeah, she was a teacher at that time, and was just like watching American Idol at night after a long day of education. So yeah, it's funny how the world works, and she's from like East Alabama. I'm from West Georgia. So it was cool to like meet someone in Nashville who's kind of like someone from where you come from.
That's
And
wild.
yeah, so we got together a couple weeks after. It was right before I was going to Texas, because I went out to Texas in May, and she was just like, "Well, I'd love to write sometime." And I was like, "I have 2 weeks, and then I'm gonna go make a record. So if you got any time, like, let's try to write something." And we ended up writing Quarter Life Crisis, which is on Southern Galactic. And then I came back from Texas, and we wrote Airstream Dreams. And yeah, no, it was a blast.
Yeah, fantastic, man. What a story. I mean, what are the odds of that? That whole thing you just told me, like, right? I mean, it's got to be like 1 in a trillion.
The odds are slim, especially because it's really hard to get me to leave my house. So the likelihood of me like being at Live Oak when she happened to be playing it are slim. But yeah, no, it was cool.
Oh man, Caleb, I appreciate your time. You've been so great. Let me ask you a few questions about your background, just because I find it fascinating, brother. Um, when you were at South Paulding High School, take me back there. Were you like the most popular guy in school with that voice and those looks? You have to be, right?
You'd be surprised. Well, it's kind of interesting because I wouldn't say I was like a popular kid, but I was kind of friends with everybody.
Mm.
So I wasn't in like any particular clique. I was just sort of friends with all these different people. Honestly, it's funny, 'cause that's pretty much the same thing I could say for me in Nashville. I feel like Nashville is one big high school.
Yeah,
And
it is, dude. And Soho House is the cafeteria, by the way. But yes,
100%. Yeah, and I don't really like belong to any. I don't have like my club. I'm just kind of friends with people all across the board. Um, so yeah, I think that was sort of my experience. Like everyone knew I played music and whatnot. Um, but yeah, I mean,
weren't the girls? I mean, because if I was a girl, in Eastern Alabama, and there's Caleb Lee coming down the hallway with that voice, I'm like, man, I gotta get in on that early.
man, I told this story a while back, and my parents, a few people got upset on my behalf, but I remember I was friends with this girl back in high school, and I had a big crush on her, and she used to host like bonfires at her house.
Mm.
I remember I was hanging out with her and a group of friends, and I was sitting on the tailgate of my truck, and she was sitting next to me. And I was playing guitar and singing her songs, like whatever song she wanted to hear. And I remember she looked at me and she said, "I wish that you looked how you sound, because you sound so hot."
What?
So,
Oh my God.
so look, I was a thicker boy in high school than I am now. So this is I wasn't exactly a lady killer. However, I did well for myself.
I think you're
So-
doing pretty well for yourself. And well, this young lady is,
right.
you are. Oh man, what a story, Caleb. Well, I think you're gonna play a song for us, but let me ask you about your dad for a second, because just these great memories of you listening to cassette tapes with them, Mississippi John Hurt and Waylon Jennings. When you look now, man, we're going to 2024, man, where time is passing, and you realize that like these moments with family is like they're blessings. It's what makes life so valuable. Like, take me inside one of those moments, when you're just like putting the tape around with your dad.
Yeah, I used to. My dad would drive me to school early on. Like first, second grade, and yeah, he used to play all these cassettes. I remember he played me Mississippi John Hurt, and I was riding to school, and I remember he looked over and he goes, "How many people do you think are playing guitar right now on this track?" And I listened to it, and I was like, two or three. And he goes, "That's one guy. That's one guy and a guitar singing and playing all that." I remember just going, "No way," and listening to it, and that was kind of one of the things early that got me interested in guitar. Just that one person could make all this noise. But yeah, no, no one in my family plays music, but they're all fanatics. They're all such huge fans of such a wide variety of music. And from an early age, that was like my sole interest. So
Hell yeah.
yeah, I would just ask all the questions and listen to everything, and wanted to know more than them early on.
Man, thank you for your time, brother. Congratulations again on a spectacular album.
Absolutely, brother. I appreciate it a ton, man.
Absolutely. Southern Galactic out now. Caleb Lee Hutchinson. Thanks for your time, bro.
Thank you very much, man. You have a good one.